ITV.
Let me say, just be in progression, just in proportion to the power and intensity of your desire to just stay tuned because you're watching ITV. AY say so.
Certainly the best.
Welcome to Flipside. My name is Daisy Obaisa. I'm your host on today's edition of the show. March 8th yearly is the International Day for women. We just celebrate women. We appreciate those who have made a mark in the sand of time, those who have passed on, those who are still pushing on. We motivate women, we inspire them, we empower them, as we just do a whole lot of things to celebrate women because it's International Women's Day. Today is not International Women's Day, but it's almost that day. And so on Flipside today, a program where we talk about social issues, we want to talk about some of the social issues women face today, because the theme for the 2018 International Women's Day says time is now. It's about empowering rural and urban women, especially the rural women. They make 1/4 of the population of the women in our society today. They're there, they produce, they work, they do a lot of things. Do we really appreciate them? Do we support them? I have two women who are making their mark in society today because they're still very much alive and they're not leaving anytime soon. Two CEOs, two founders of organizations that handle women issues. They're activists and the vibrant women. I'm proud to be here with them today. You can see them on the screen, but you will get to know their names shortly, and we'll begin to talk about the International Women's Day for 2018. But before we go into the main discussion for the day, I would quickly go on a break. You learn something from that break, and when we return from the break, you meet my guests and we'll begin to talk about what we have for you today. We'll be right back. Okay, I think the break will hold. Let's just go into what we have right now. Seated very close to me here is Dr. Mary Alile Idele. Is the Idele before the Alile?
It's the Alile before the Idele. Yeah,
okay.
So you're right.
Dr. Mary, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're the founder and the CEO of Sister to Sister Worldwide.
Yeah.
So your organization is not just based in Nigeria.
No, it's based in about 18 different countries all over the world. Africa, Europe, and what we do really is just to empower women. We look at the woman and the female child. We're looking at how to put women on the map. We're looking at how to protect young girls, from falling foul of things that they shouldn't actually be doing. Okay. We are looking at how to look at the 6 areas that actually affect women inequality. So that's what Sisters to Sister Worldwide does.
Yeah. Okay, it's a delight to have you here.
Thank you very much.
You have this amazing woman that's been on Flipside. Whenever we have women issues, she always makes herself available. In a very busy schedule, she comes here. I have Ronke Ijekere in the house. She's the CEO and founder of Sotawaka. When you have, the last time we talked about rape, we told you if you have any rape case, especially when it's an underage girl involved, all you need to do is reach the Zoom and your case is halfway settled. Ronke, it's good to have you in the house today again.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah. I had to bring these two lovely ladies to the house because tomorrow is actually International Women's Day, and I think they will both be very busy observing the day. So I want to know, what are your plans for International Women's Day? I'm going to start with you, Ronke.
Tomorrow, the since I really don't have any activity tomorrow, but because I'm going to be in the country, I would join the ministry to celebrate International Women's Day.
Okay.
I was just saying to you that tomorrow I would have been leaving the country to go to New York to be present on the floor to observe the United Nations sitting. But I would be leaving next week, so you're lucky that I'm sitting
Of
here
course.
with you. So I would be, I would just, since I didn't have anything planned out, but this
Just
is,
join.
this is at least an activity for me. So if anybody asks me, oh, I was on ITV, I was talking about women issues that had to do with women, whether it is a day before the day set aside for the International Women's Day. For me, every day is an International Women's Day, so we must always celebrate and appreciate women, be them in the rural community or in the urban community.
Okay. All right. What are your plans, Dr. Mary?
For me, right, like she said, since we are right now we're in Nigeria, so we are joining whatsoever is happening in Nigeria at the moment. So even sister to sister, we are part of what the Ministry of Women Affairs is doing tomorrow. But with regards to sister in Nigeria, we are actually looking at the women in the urban areas. I have a passion to look at that deprived woman. It's not like we don't have deprived women in the cities, but these women in the urban area, they are more deprived than the women in the city, if you understand what I mean. Because our foodstuff, a lot of things do come from the urban areas. So we are sister to sister Nigeria, so we are in the urban area doing advocacy. This theme of this year is about getting yourself educated. We're looking at adult education for women this very particular year. Countries like United States of America, they are looking at women that are into drugs and homeless women for tomorrow. United Kingdom is looking at homeless women as well. Like she rightly said, every day is an International Women's Day. So it's not about creating one day out to do something, but it's about doing that little bit on a daily basis, as long as you're empowering a woman and as long as you're making sure that the rights and privileges of women are given to them.
Okay. Now, a major issue that women have to push for, they've been pushing for it far back as the 80s, is equality. So even the About Women riot and several other things, women have come up to scream and yell and fight for their rights. The African women, talking about equality, where we are now and where we're supposed to be by this time, by this age, by this stage, is it even close? Are we almost there? Are we still far behind? Or we're there already? How would you rate the African women and how much they have achieved as regards the fight for gender equality? I'll start with you.
Gender equality is something that always leaves a very sour taste in my mouth. Because, you see, we always think that we are getting there. We are not getting there. You know, the more we advocate for women, the more we see that the gap is really not closing up. Yes, there are lots of women who are coming out to lend their voices to talk about equality in women. But when you now think about even within your home front, Africa is too large, within your home front, you would see that in certain situations, that equality thing is not there. Yes, we are raising the conscious awareness to ensure that we put this on the front burner at all times when given the opportunity to talk about it. But when the chips are down and we have to really critically look at issues, it will be so painful to note that even our women, are part of those that are pulling their fellow women down. I stand to be corrected. I say it a lot of the time, but I know that I am very convinced in myself that we have a long, long way to go. Yes, we put it on the scale. The scale is still tilting higher towards the men. Yes, we are trying to come up, but we haven't quite achieved even our normal 35% that was once our famous slogan, give us 35%, then we went up to give us 50-50. And the men laughed in our faces, you haven't even achieved 35%, you are clamoring, and we're saying we'll get there. Definitely we'll get there, but how soon we will get there is that question, and that is why women are working assiduously to ensure that if not in our generation, in the generation of our children's children, we will get there.
I join in that fight. Okay, looking at the rural women, I think even the urban women, the few people who have actually achieved anything when it comes to holding a position, they are always the urban kind of people. But the rural community, I don't even know if they're interested. Nigeria is a very cultural nation, and we're also very religious. Religion, whichever one you pick, actually says the men are on top and you're to submit. The culture is also not helping matters. You have to be loyal, you have to be submissive, you have to be under the leadership of a man. So how is our tradition and our culture, because it will always be there, is there really going to be a possibility that we will get there, considering the fact that we love these two factors?
I want to be optimistic, and I want to believe that definitely we will get there. I was reading a research which says that it will take us 270 years to get close to where the men are, and my heart almost stopped, and I'm like, 270 years, how long? That is just too long. But the thing is that regardless of what how many years they've put, we must put into consideration that we must take a step at a time. History will forgive us if we take a step and we are pushed back. But no one will forgive us if we don't take any step at all. We owe it to our daughters, we owe it to our mothers, we owe it to our sisters. Now, the urban area, you were talking about tradition, you're talking about religion and so on and so forth. Now, those are the things that, that is, but there's no way we can change that. But what we can change is we ourselves fighting for ourselves. Now, the day in the United Kingdom that women got the right to vote, a parliament that sat to change that were a parliament filled with men. So which means some men sat there and thought, oh, I think women, let's give them the right to vote. So how did these men got the information to say that, okay, I will give the woman the right to vote? Advocacy. Somebody must have been speaking to these men. Somebody must have been advocating on behalf of the women to say, come on, we need the right to vote. We can vote as well. If we can cook, clean, give back, we can vote. So on that fateful day that changed a lot of things in the whole world, a woman didn't sit in the parliament. It was a parliament filled with men, but still they voted and they said, give the woman the right to vote. So advocacy is something that is so important, and unfortunately in this part of the world we see less and less, or next to nothing, of advocacy. If you call empowerment, speak to a woman in the urban area, rural area, when you say, oh, they're coming to do empowerment, the next thing is, how much are they sharing? I mean,
yes,
there is nothing. I mean, an African woman does not understand the word empowerment if it's not tagged with money. The higher the money, the better it is for her. But again, you will just spend the money to give yourself 2 weeks and it's gone. But what about advocacy? telling somebody, no, come on, you have a right. The fact that you're a woman, the fact that you have a religious background, the fact that you come from a traditional background doesn't make any difference. So you must be able to speak for yourself. If you're not speaking for yourself, no one will speak for you. So like I said in the beginning, we owe it to our children. We owe it to our mothers to be able to say something. We can't wait for 270 odd years to, to bridge the gap. And another thing that probably should be practiced in this part of the world is what we call positive discrimination. In developed countries, there's something we call positive discrimination. And what is positive discrimination? We know that we need more women in that part of in a particular job. We just employ them basically to make the equation balance. So it becomes a positive discrimination. Instead of you saying you need to employ 50 women, 50 men, and for example, you have all of a sudden you have 60. So you beef up the women positively, you do it so that just to bring them up the ladder. So things like that needs to be practiced with the Ministry of Women Affairs. Come on, somebody needs to put up a framework of how to get things done, of how to get the woman moving, of how to push the woman and say, everything is not about money. Empowerment is not about the naira. Empowerment is about you understanding yourself. For example, sister to sisters. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I am so much passionate about education, adult education. A lot of our mothers missed it, but it's never too late. I'm sure the Ministry of Education, they have adult education classes and things like that. We help them. I don't care how much it is. We'll pay. Things like that. But you find out that the women are not interested. You need to convince them, to tell them that try it for 2 years, try it for 1 year, you will be better off. But they are rather, if you give them 5,000, they'll worship you for 5,000 naira. So it's a sad story, but we must begin to push. And the earlier we start, the better it is for us.
Okay. All right, for those who just joined us, the program is Flipside, and Daisy Obaisagwan, your host. I have Dr. Mary Alile Idele and Ronke Ijekere. They're both CEOs and founders of their own NGOs that handle women affairs. All right, we'll go on a break quickly, and when we come back, we'll talk some more on our topic, which is International Women's Day. We'll be back.
Robos casca, if no be you, then tell me who.
For cross of Calvary, Jesus talk say, he don't finish. This one me say, my wahala and your wahala don't bafuka. Oh, le. My body, they make me jiggy like a railway. This surely calls for celebration. Oh, yes. Join Independent Television and Radio to Sualele Baba Jesus for Easter Gbedu 2018. Sean Sir.
Oluwani, you don't see Oluwani. Oluwani, shebi you don't see Oluwani.
He dancing, not be smarty no. Ikoto, Anya, Papa, Mama, brother, sister, pikin. Wear your dancing shoe because this show go mege and mede. Oh, Salova.
No go to do pass you say.
Remember say welcome gift na normal for everybody and better price is there for competition like filling the bottle, spoon and orange race, tunnel game, 2x2 shaky komole, dance competition, Tempera, Star Press na washing machine. Oh, jigby, jigby, jigby. No forget artist, cartoon character, and Ken's Garden Day can't be who here. Tell who no here
Now El Shaddai Gospel Band plus including Don General Entertainment go summer music for that day.
Date na Sunday 1st April 2018. Time na 11am.com. Venue na Independent Television and Radio Corporate Office, Glass House, Airport Road, Benin City. Gate fee na 500 naira per person.
Now KC Devices Limited Phone Shop, dealers of all kinds of phones, laptops, CCTV cameras, inverters, power banks and accessories. 60 Airport Road by Akenswa Junction and 106 Ope Road beside Delta Line, Sapele Delta State. Now you put hand for our back for this show.
Alright, the program is Flipside. If you just joined us, you've missed a whole lot. So you're going to have to watch on YouTube to get your catch up. I have two guests in the house and we're talking about the International Women's Day, which is going to be tomorrow. But everyone, every woman, almost every woman who knows what's up will be very busy tomorrow trying to lend their voices to this fight, this push for be it equality, equity, parity, whichever one you believe we're actually fighting for. They will be doing their own bits to make us, help us achieve. Because if someone did not push that women should start going to school, Daisy Obaisa won't be here anchoring a program on television. So thanks to whoever said women could go to school. Thanks to my parents for allowing me get education. And thanks to my two lovely women in the house who were talking about the International Women's Day. Now, there's this regular belief that women are a problem to women. But there's also this belief that women would love, especially when it comes to politics, women would love to rise, but the men at the top are not giving them enough space to expand, to rise. Whenever a woman is in office and she steals money, the trumpet is so blown, the matter is so big. In fact, people are hating her that, Madam, you did well, you took too much, you're too greedy. But when a man does it, it's just like a normal thing. Okay, he goes to jail, he comes back, he shares part of the money. Something is just, it's taken lightly. So people saying it's the men, there are problems, but some others are saying the women are actually the major problems of the women rising in politics. Which of the sides would you join? Let's start with you. Again.
While I try not to discuss politics, I always bring my issues to the home, where you will find some political bickerings amongst people. And let's take, for example, a widow. Let's take that scenario. Let's leave politics as politics should be looked at. Let's now look at the home front and having, be it an older woman losing her husband, be it a younger woman losing her husband, or in a home where there are problems. Look at the case scenario. It is always the women who come out to start to fight a fellow woman, even the educated ones. They are always the ones. But then if you now look at politics, because let me tell you the truth, all of us are all political juggernauts. Whether you want to say, oh, I'm strictly an NGO practitioner, oh, I'm strictly a newscaster, you will have the places where you can tilt to. You don't just sit on the fence. Any woman who sits on the fence and just observe is not doing herself any good. All right. So when we look at things, I was driving with one of the directors in my office, and we were doing a comparison, and I said, we just elected our local government chairpersons, only one woman was given the slot to be a chairperson of a local government. Then he jokingly said, oh, but we have 5 secretaries. I said, out of 18. 5 over 18, is that a pass mark? No. So we look at those scenarios. But then when you now want to argue further, you will now hear, oh, but the women, when we tell them to come and pick forms and we don't make them pay, say what? When they go to school, they are not giving preference not to pay school fees. They pay school fees and they beat most of the men. So why can't a woman be given a position? Whatever happens in political parties, I am not an insider. I do not have a preview of what is happening. But when you hear bickerings that are going on, you find out that the men are the ones pinching somewhere, and somebody who is sensitive, and most of the time it is a woman that is being used. I say it countless number of times, but people tell me, which one you did, what do you know, are you in the picture? You know, but I don't have to be in the picture to be able to understand that women are being cheated upon, and it is not just right.
What you're saying is the men are the ones doing the suppression, but they use a woman to do it.
Yes. You know, because if I started off saying, let us look at our homes. When you look at widows, the men don't tell the widow. They just say to the woman, where are the door for the Igbos? Where are the Omuadas? You are here, and this wife is saying this. And then the Omuada gets up and starts to talk. She has been pinched somewhere, and she's talking. Women have been so cowed not to having their own voices. How many of us? Yes, we have some gender sensitive, and when we talk of gender sensitive, the thing about the whole matter now is that when we talk about gender, everybody turns and says, oh, Mary, you are a woman, and gender. No. We have some men that have taken it upon themselves to do the he-she movement. Let us hope that it will trickle down to Nigeria. Let us not just copy the other side. Since we have, I know some men who are doing the he-she thing in Nigeria with us. Let us hope that with this he-she movement, it happened to me too. That hashtag, it happened to me too. Let us remove the negative aspects of it, of it happened to me too. Let us look at the positive aspect of it. It happened to me too. I was discriminated upon A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Let men now come and add their voices. When we were quarreling about our children being sexually molested, our sisters going through domestic violence and all of that, we waited until we kept talking, we kept making noise, and we kept wooing the sensitivity of the man. And now you have advocates, you have activists who are coming out, who are speaking up and saying, no, enough is enough. So let us, when we get to that stage where, like in the United Kingdom, we have a room full of men who will say, enough is enough. Let us give a woman a chance to be able, let her prove her worth. That is my prayer. That one day, a woman will be given, not just told, go and, form is 5 million naira, you can go and take your own free.
For free.
You go and take it free, but you are not, you know that you are not going to throw in the towel. Let them say, we give it to you, go and take it, or if you can pay for it, go and pay for it, and let a woman be given, you know. And that's why the only woman who is being made, who was made a chairperson, I pray for her every day for her success, so that we will use it as a yardstick towards saying, I got this chance and this is what I did. But I also pray that as she's there, that ladder that she used to climb up, she should remember her constituency. Her constituency, you, me, she, and our children coming, so that we would have a platform. You know, we have more women now, but we haven't made 35%. We have more women now. So those women, too, should start to mentor
Other women.
we do not mentor.
That's another thing.
We
That's
don't mentor.
another problem.
So those women now should start to mentor people, especially women in the grassroots, because they are the ones that I work with. Women in the grassroots, they are the ones that are suffering. They are the ones that are the voice, actually the voiceless people. I work with them, so I know what I'm saying when I say the women, they do not have a voice.
Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with a lot of things that Ronke has said. She went into mentoring. I think that is a strange language for an African woman. Mentor. What are you talking about? What do you know that you want to tell me? What do you know that you want to teach me? Now, if we go into the culture of mentoring, making sure that women that have climbed the ladder, like she said, pick one person, pick two people, and say, come on, let me teach you some certain things. Let me mentor you. Let me guide you, and you can do more than I've done. And again, the mentor-mentee relationship must be created. The mentor-mentee relationship must be nurtured. Women must understand that, okay, I have climbed to a certain stage. How many people have I been able to influence? How many women have I been able to empower? A lot of our women, like we were saying, they just climb, and immediately they get to the top, they throw away the ladder. You know, I was in a conference in America, and I was talking about who is holding your ladder. That was the title of the conference. Who is holding yours? Because if you climb, somebody must hold your ladder. So, and we're looking at the relationship that women has, especially women from the urban area. What are you doing? Even though you are a woman leader, I'm not talking about politically, I'm talking about a woman leader in a village or something. You are a woman leader, you've been appointed as a leader of all these other women in the rural area. What is your position? What are you doing to support these other people? Apart from look for an organization. Sometimes when you give them a call and you say, oh, we are from so and so organization, we want to come and talk about they tell you, we've been empowered. Are you coming to share money? We don't want any empowerment. Just come with some money. We want, even if it's 500 naira. Now you look at that statement and you think, okay, I'm fighting not for myself, but I'm fighting for other women out there. If the only thing you want is 500 naira, that before I leave you would have spent it, how then will you be empowered? How then are we talking about these 275 years to bridge the gap? Ronke was talking about 37%. I'm not even sure we are in 15% in a certain part of the country, or in a certain part of the world. We are not even in 15%. But we as women, a lot of women, again, like she rightly said, have started. They've gained a voice. We've started speaking. But we must begin to shout. We must begin to carry placards. Who has the time to do this? Who are those people that can gather themselves and say, okay, I'm leading, follow? We must begin to say, enough is enough. Another year, last year, I'm sure there was a lot of celebration, National Women's Day. If we take statistics, 365 days went by. What happened?
Nothing happened.
What happened? Because next year we'll also be in the same place and we are looking at statistics. So what have we been able to do? So what have we been able to achieve? As an activist, as a woman out there, you don't even need a platform. You just need to be able to empower one person. Like in our organization, I tell them, forget about empowering the whole village. Can you just empower one person? Because that one person that you've empowered will in its turn go and empower another one. It doesn't matter how many years it takes us to do it, as long as we start. So starting is what is needed in this part of the world. Advocacy is something that we must take seriously. Mentoring, these are like, I don't know, these are like Chinese words or another African woman in the rural area. So we must teach them all these things. Empowerment, of course, they've got the word empowerment and they know what empowerment means to them. But we must begin to educate our women, really. We must begin to educate our mothers, regardless of your tradition, regardless of your religion. You are a woman. You have a voice. Ronke was talking about the only female is a chairperson that in this recently the local government. Again, fine, we applaud her. Now she's there. She's got another 335 days or 300, I don't know how many years to prove. Let's see what happened. That is if she's able to do something. So I also believe in this part of the world, people don't get involved with the NGOs. The NGO is just another organization. You register an NGO, they say, oh, go to Women Affairs. If it's a women NGO, go and register in the Women Ministry of Affairs, and that's about it. So how are the NGO used in the rural areas? In order for us to reach the last woman in that village that does not have electricity, that cannot watch this program, we need NGOs that will advocate and speak to that woman on the farm that say, have you seen this? You can do this. And that is what NGOs do. But in this part of the world, nobody uses NGO for anything. You are an NGO, you're on your own. You just believe that you do 1 or 2 programs and that's about it. But there are more that the ministry can use, the Ministry of Women Affairs can use the NGOs to do.
Okay, now, talking about the rural woman, education is like the major
empowerment
tool.
you can give
Yes,
to any woman.
the major empowerment you can give to anyone, the major tool to break whatever problem that comes. An educated woman is going to have a better chance of having safe and healthy children. She's going to make sure her children are also educated. She's going to know how to take better care of her children. She's also going to know how to do child spacing. It's time to stop. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? So it goes a long way to helping our society. But in the rural areas, education in the rural areas actually seems like it doesn't even exist. I have an opportunity to go to some villages and maybe for a church program. So you go there, you stay some weekends, and the next Monday you're going to school. You see, most of the students in the classrooms are still guys. And if the girl child is there, she might not even go past primary education before she's asked to get married. The teachers in the rural areas are not helping either. They're hardly ever in the village to do their teaching. Now, Liberia president came to Nigeria on Monday and met with our president, and he said he needs Nigeria to help him with about 6,000 teachers because education is very important to Liberia. And a lot of people have been asking, do we even have teachers enough in Nigeria? Talk less of sending or loaning, borrowing, whichever word you're going to use, to some other country. But trust Nigeria, I'm sure we will still see to give.
To give out.
We are so good. We always will have to give. Now, how can we encourage the rural girl child, the rural mothers, to push their daughters to school?
Education, we know, is a key. It's a key to both the boy and to the girl. In the rural community, rural community is not a community where I do not go to. Rural community is a community where Sutawaka has gone and has held on to at least 4 communities where I go to. And I have seen both in the primary schools, you have a great influx of the girl child in the primary school. Then you see almost 3/4% of those primary school graduates going into secondary school. Then you ask yourself this question: the other one quarter, and you hear they have been moved to an aunt or an uncle to go to the urban community to go and have a better life, to start school. One auntie has come and taken the child to help train the child. Whether positively or negatively, mother believes or parents believe that that child has left the village and has gone to the city to go and school. Then you look at the secondary school and you look at the first half of the secondary school, all right? And you start to find that these children, these girl children, you know, do not, there's no consistency with their attendance in school. I have once asked the principal, why is this so? And away from the fact that the girl child has gotten pregnant and gone to have a baby and is feeling stigmatized, that when she comes back to school, her mates will be laughing at her. But I said, but she remains in the village. She doesn't leave the village. So that stigmatization is still there. He said to me, that is not even the issue right now. The issue is that most of the rural schools do not have toilet facilities. So when a girl child is on
That's what we say.
yes,
That's what we call it.
yes, you know.
Oh dear.
But because this is an educational program, rather than say on, I'm going to use the word menstruation.
Please, let's use the word menstruation.
You understand? Because when that girl child is observing that menstrual flow, and if it is during a school week, that child stays at home because she has nowhere to do the changing of the pads. Said, you know, he said those are many of the instances where you find low attendance of girls in schools. And I was forced to now ask, what percent? He said, I won't give you percent, I'm going to give you figures. He said, like in SS1, we had, what did he tell us, 350 students coming into SS1, and that's a lot. You understand? For how many classes? That means that they will be like sardines. You know, he said, by the time they get to GSS1, they come in. By the time they get to GSS2, number has dropped. By the time they get to GSS3, number has dropped. Then it peaks again in SS. By the time they get to their final year, you find that he said they had, what, 270 and a ratio of maybe 55, 65 female children, you know. And what he was now doing was now telling me, please, you need to come back to this community. You need to start talking to the mothers. You need to start talking to the family heads that there is the need for the girl child to not just come to school, but to remain in school. You know, so it's a whole lot of advocacy, sensitization, educating and educating and educating and educating. And I keep telling young girls, especially when I meet them in the rural communities, I say to them, the only empowerment you can give yourself is education. And they tell me, no, it's money. What will education? You know, and I said to them, away from education, if you are not properly empowered with basic education, even if I give you 1 million naira, you would not know what to do with it, and you would just spend it stupidly. So that thing about education, we would not stop speaking about it. And I say to Even young girls who have dropped out of school because they got pregnant and they have a baby, I tell them also, you can still go to school.
Go back.
And if you say you cannot do formal education, there are vocational studies. I think that we should begin to, I'm happy with what is happening now that Mr. Governor has started to revamp all the vocational schools and all of them. So we mustn't all be medical doctors, lawyers, we mustn't all go to those kind of schools. But even when you do go to a vocational school, there's nothing that says you cannot go to the university. So it is for us, to start to talk. Mary was saying that the ministries are not utilizing the NGOs enough. But you must be careful so that you do not seen to be seen as if you want to come and tell us our jobs. So, while we appreciate the efforts of every ministry, all right, the NGOs must also act as a substitution. Whether or not you get major funding or not, be seen to be doing something. If it is one community school you see and you grab a hold of and say, this is where I'm going to prove my worth, go there and prove your worth.
All right, the program is still Flipside. Well, we would leave here in a couple of minutes. But we're going to break quickly. When I come back, I have a question for Mary, and then we'll call the show a wrap.
Ignato Education Center, award-winning school of the West African Examination Council WAEC and the National Examination Council NECO. Admission into Ignato Secondary School Basic 7 and 8, JSS 1 and 2 and SS 1 and 2 for 2018-2019 academic session. Method of application. Application forms inclusive of the school's prospectus and information package for the entrance examination are issued on the payment of a non-refundable fee of 10,000 Naira cash. The forms are issued from the following centers: Admission Office, Ignition Education Center, 218-220, Murtala Mohammed Way, Benin City, Edo State. Application forms may also be downloaded from the school's website at www.ignitioneducationcenter.com or Ignition Education Center, Lagos Rep Office, Warner 87 at Deleke Adedoyin Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. Examination and Interview Center, Ignition Education Center, 218-220, Murtala Mohammed Way, Benin City, Edo State. Date of interview, Saturday, 17th March 2018. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Signed, Collins Imokba, Principal, GSS, Ignition Education Center, educating leaders of the 21st century.
All right, we want the voices of women to be heard. We want to be given equal rights. We want to have jobs and earn the same salaries that the men are earning. We don't want the low-paying job or no-paying jobs just because we want to be employed. We want to be given the same respect a man will be given. I think the only man who has the right to tell us to submit should be our husband. After all, that's what the Bible says, to your husband. And in the place of employment and other activities, we want to be seen as equal humans, because we actually are even more powerful and hardworking than men. If you ask me, maybe because I'm a woman, but it's true. We're just built to multitask, and we're so good at it. But talking about the rural woman now, empowerment is a major tool that most NGOs have been trying to use to reach out to them, to aid their trade and maybe their farming or skills and all that, but they're pushing against it a lot of times. They want financial assistance, and they're not even laying their claims on something really big enough to help them boost their job. So I don't really understand what they want. How can we break their mentality and bring economic development to them through empowerment that does not necessarily have to be 1,000, 3,000 keke nape and grinding machine?
Okay, that is something that we have to do through advocacy. Ronke was into it, was talking about the fact that you keep educating the woman. Now, going to the rural areas, that is a challenge for any NGO. So if I meet NGOs that work, I say, I will work in the rural area, I applaud them, because I made a statement now to say that we are doing a lot of things, but however, we are not getting enough support. Now, I believe the NGO in Nigeria, for example, some of them are really trying, pulling their weight and pushing their weight. Now, if you don't have the support of the government, if you don't have funding from the government, things become so difficult. There are things that you would love to do. I love the story of what Ronke was saying when they went to this urban secondary school. Sisters to sisters, we did something about giving out free sanitary towels. When we're talking about menstruation, free sanitary towels to the girl child. Now we tag that sex is a choice, menstruation is not.
Of course.
If they are giving out free condoms, for Christ's sake, why can't we give out free sanitary towels? So, and we did that. You will be shocked to see that story she just gave, that is real. That's reality. Where a child will stay at home for a week to say that there's nowhere to change sanitary towel, and they don't even have sanitary towel. They use thank you. I'm thinking of what to say. Rags and things like that. Those of them that have tissue paper, those are the first class girls. And my heart bled. This buying sanitary towels, packaging them, giving out to these girls. I was in tears. But the government could help as well. The government could look at the NGOs and say, okay, which NGO is dealing with children? Who is dealing with people with learning disability? Who is dealing with the elderly? That is how we work. That is how they roll abroad. Each NGO has its own specialty, and the government supports these NGOs to say that, okay, if you're working with the elderly people, that's it. If you're working with rural area, that's it. So what we need to do is we need to continue to educate the women, continue to catch the young girls early, continue to get them to have a change of mind, a change of mentality. Let the government support the NGOs as well. The NGOs that are out there trying their best, we need the backing of the government and we need the backing of the ministry. Frameworks should be rolled out, and we'll see that was it 270 years that they said we have to,
we will see that it will be a reality.
It
will come to pass. Not in your time, not in my time, but it will definitely come to pass.
It will be reduced. And we are praying it gets reduced.
Yes.
We are praying it gets reduced.
We definitely need to do all we can to make sure that these years are brought down. I'm Daisy Obaisagon. It's been an amazing time here talking about women and our many issues. There have been several women who have done a lot for our society. We have Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, we have Ekpo, we have writers, musicians, Onyinka Wenu, and several other women. Let's even go political, where women holding positions, presidency, prime minister positions, and we're hoping that one day something like that can happen in Nigeria, even though we know even local governments position seats they're difficult to get, but it can happen. And our word to every woman out there is Happy International Women's Day to you. You need to lend your voice to this fight that we want more. We want a bigger percentage. The Millennium Development Goals said by 2015 we'll have 50-50. It hasn't happened. 2015 has passed.
A long time.
Well, we're hoping that one day, maybe 2025, it will happen. Let's just add 10 years to it. All right, see you. Next week we'll talk about another social issue. So for now, have fun. You can watch this program again on YouTube. It will be uploaded. You get our site. It's going to be scrolled on the bar. So just keep watching independent television and you'll get the info. Bye-bye.
This is ITV. Certainly the best.